It is my privilege to
Okay.
introduce Nee to share his job search story.
Hi. So I'm Nee Odartey Bruce. At least I've met some of you already on job team. So I offer taken up an offer, a job offer. So at Microsoft. So role is kind of centered with reliability engineering, kind of. So I'll be actually moving out of state. So one working at one of their data centers. So a little bit of my story. So I think probably maybe sometime in the COVID period, and I was working, but then I was kind of playing around trying to see if I could get a new role, and I just went on LinkedIn, just looking at people's profiles, and then I chanced on a profile. I realized that I had mutual connection, mutual friends with this particular connection, and I just reached out. I just sent just a random message on LinkedIn. Hey, I introduced myself, and I kind of try to get, how do I put it? Like, I put it in a certain way that, like, hey, I'm trying to see, this is one of the companies I'm seeing if I could get into. And just like that, he was like, hey, have you got some time? I can schedule a meeting. And then he did that. We spoke on in Teams. He kind of gave me some tips, and then he was like, "Hey, I, if you can get your PMP, so the PMP is a project management professional certification, and he was like, if you can get that, and I was like, okay, I'll try and get that. And guess what? I never got to it. I kind of dilly-dallied. Was looking at other things, and I never got an opportunity. I mean, I got interviews not through him, but at the same company, but nothing went through, right? And then I kind of like started looking elsewhere. And then the last company I just worked with, Rio Tinto back in Utah, um, I eventually got a role. I moved in 2023. I came down here and just in February, I mean, restructuring. So I got laid off. And uh, prior to me hopping onto job team, I was just sitting there one day. I think I was just thinking of what do I do next? And I was like, maybe I should reach out to this connection again. And I was like, let me just send a message. And I sent it to him. And before I continue, so backtracking a little. So last November, I finally got a PMP certification. I finally got the PMP certification through Rio Tinto. So they organized a class and then I joined and then eventually got a certification in November of last year. So I was like, I think I remember, if I remember very well, with my connection, who's now become a friend, told me to get this PMP certification. I think I have it. Let me just reach out to him and see if he has any tips on how to get in. And I hadn't spoken to him or reached out to him for maybe about a year plus. And I was like, let me just reach out to him. And when I was reaching out to him, I have to be honest, I wasn't thinking of anything. I was just like hoping that he would just tell me that maybe do this or do that, and then maybe you can get an opportunity. I reached out to him and he was like, send me your resume. I'm going to give you a referral. And I was like, oh, wow. And I just that, and he went into the system. What he did was, based on what he felt were the right rules, he sent me a couple of them. I think maybe at least, I think they were like four or so. And he was like, look through these options and then let me know which ones you think you're interested in. And I looked through, and then I sent him, I think it was just one of them that I thought was more of like the compliance side, let me put it that way. So I sent them to him and then he sent me referrals for all of them. So I applied. I mean, I was just waiting. I kept on going every now and then. Then I eventually met Steve, I mean, through LHH. And then I started coming on there. So I think it was midweek, one week. And then I just got a notification that uh, we think we want to move you forward. We think we're interested in you, blah, blah, and, I was excited, obviously, but I just made sure that I really understood everything, out of the excitement. I didn't want to, just, just push things too fast. And I eventually responded, and then just like that, they set up an interview date for I think the following Monday. So Wednesday, and then the following Monday, I had an interview, just like that. And the nature of the interview is split into mostly 3 or 4 interviews, and I had three, but sometimes it could be four, of about 1 hour uh, of going through, different questions, behavioral, and then, about your experience, you see. And when I finally confirmed the start date, then I quickly reached out to my connection again, and just to try and get a sense of how um, I think the interview will be structured. And as I previously mentioned, I'd interviewed with them before in the past, so I was kind of very familiar with how their process is. It's heavily like heavily behavioral centered, and that's like the nature of most interviews nowadays. So he gave me tips and then kind of explained to me that the most important thing is understanding the questions and then having a good story, based on your experience to answer the questions. So we spent about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And then, I mean, once I was done, I went back to preparing. And then the following Monday, as I mentioned, I went through the interview. So that day, I didn't even come on job teams. And I went ahead. Like I said, it was really grueling. It's not like crazy questions, let me put it that way. But, once you have an idea of the STAR method or STAR strategy, that's how most companies are going. Because in as much as you have like skills, they're also looking at, are you the right fit? Are you a right fit? Because I always have this at the back of my mind, and I've also read in so many places on like on so many forums on LinkedIn that, no matter what you do, right, people want to be able to work with you. If you don't even know something, you are teachable, right? So always bear that in mind. And long before, I mean, when I started my career, my first boss had this like it's like a phrase. So like you go to a job, you have 20% of the knowledge, right? But then the rest of the your job life is based on your attitude or your character. So 80% of that. So if you have all the world's knowledge, right, no matter what you do, you need to have some kind of character, right? So I mean, the questions were centered on that, trying to see if I'm a good fit, etc. So I mean, I was just after I was done, I kept on checking my emails, back and forth. And unless I forget, so the Monday I had the interview was my birthday. So I was like, my birthday, yeah. But I was like, yeah, I'll prefer to, get it done. And then after that, we think about maybe celebrating or whatever. And even that. And about 2 weeks ago, I went to visit my mom in New Jersey. She's not well. So I went to stay with her. And I kept on checking my email just to see if at least I get something. So one day, I think it was probably a Wednesday again, and I saw my phone ringing, and I have this app called Truecaller. I don't know if you guys know about it. So essentially, it lets you see caller ID no matter what, who is calling you. And then I saw it, and I realized that hey, it's you know, this company is calling me back, and I picked up the call, and the recruiter was like, hey, you know what? We're interested, you want to move forward, so you've been considered essentially, and congratulations kept on coming. And I think I think that day, or maybe a few days later, I just tried to seep everything in. And then a few days later, I reached out to Steve because started talking about, the offer. I think the recruiter was like, "Hey, send me what you think you want, or maybe we'll bring you what we have." So I sent him what I have, and then again, I reached out to Steve, and I also reached out to my connection because I know he knows about the system or he knows the company well. And we kind of it broke down, we did some math, and I sent mine what I wanted or thought would be fair. And then the recruiter later on came back. It took a little bit of time, but then eventually, everything went through, and then I just, accepted the offer. So what I'll say is I believe that the networking thing, it definitely played a factor, definitely played a factor. And we've talked about it so many times on job team, networking, networking, networking. So I'm like, I did something random. I mean, reach out to someone. I've never met him physically, let me put it that way. But here's someone who, was willing to you know, give some tips and then obviously, help me one way or the other get into and then eventually get a job. So what I eventually like told myself was like this networking thing, no matter what, it's it's a very powerful tool. Let me put it that way. So it's like you have a list of the companies because about 2, 3 years ago, the COVID period, I had a list of companies I thought I wanted to work with, you know, all around the country, not just in one particular state. Because I was living in Illinois. I mean, I never thought about Utah, I have to be honest. But then when I saw the opportunity, I'm like, hey, let me reach out, let me. So that one, even what I did was I reached out to a recruiter. So what I sometimes do, I just go looking for recruiters. I've been doing that a lot. And that strategy helped me one way or the other. This was a recruiter, and then he eventually pushed me. And it's about the same thing, reaching out to someone for this role, reaching out to him also helped me land this role. So you might think that, hey, you don't know the person. Some people respond, but it's always like a good practice that reach out to someone, you don't know. It's random. Introduce yourself, pitch yourself, you know, introduce yourself. Don't just go straight away to I'm trying to get in or get a role, it might piss them off, excuse my language, So just sometimes just knowing what exactly, using the right words or choosing the right words in a quick message, you never know. Some people can be very nice. I've had that person like, and I honestly think that LinkedIn, like, no matter what you do, it's a very powerful tool. It's a powerful tool because I can say that for myself that I mean, sitting in the comfort of my home, reached out to people. Some people have been responsive in the past, but I just realized that making the move is always the thing. That's just having that courage to talk to someone or reach out to someone. It really helps. It really helps. I'm a beneficiary of that, and I mean going through the whole process. Steve helping me with structuring my LinkedIn profile because I just had a basic LinkedIn profile, but Steve's help and then Lelejit team, and then the tips I get from everyone who I've met on here, I've made use of them, and they've really helped. They've really helped. They've really helped, and networking. The longest word is networking. Just reach out. Just reach out. So just have a list of, hey, these are the companies, and then just look for people on LinkedIn. They might not necessarily be in the same role that you are looking at, but sometimes it also gives you an idea of, okay, so these are some of the roles, so XXX maybe whatever role you're looking for is engineer or whatever, and you just look at it. And then sometimes you're just going out onto maybe that particular company's website. What do they have on there? So you have a fair idea. Let's say the connection asks you that, okay, hey, what? exactly are you interested in, you know? So before you even get that referral, right, you have a list of what exactly you want to. You've seen this role. Hey, I think I'm interested in this. You never know. But like I said, the first listen shouldn't be the first option shouldn't be just going straight away to say, hey, I'm looking for a job. You're gonna spook them off. So you just try to network, reach out, because I personally haven't done in like physical networking. It's through LinkedIn. And I say that in as much as you sit in the comfort of your home, it's it's a very powerful tool. A very powerful tool, and I'm a beneficiary of that. So that's my story in a nutshell. Yeah, I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
Usually I'm the person who doesn't ever come on here and say anything, but uh, so let me just see if I understand this, Nee. I mean, I talk about networking all the time, but you're
Mhm.
networking with strangers or
Yep,
possibly friends you haven't met yet. Is that
yep,
correct?
that's correct. Yep, yep.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
just
Didn't your
yeah.
didn't your parents ever tell you don't, I mean, this is crazy. Didn't your parents say, I mean, what parent, if any of you are parents or you've been parented, don't talk to strangers. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, don't brag and don't play unfair. And I think that's unfair
Mhm,
that you probably do that. So those break all those rules. So
mhm.
good
Yeah,
job. But I
yeah,
mean, that's pretty risky. I know people have trouble networking even with the people they
yeah,
know, but that's
yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah, it's I mean it's just you having the courage. Most of the time they won't respond because I've had that experience. Someone I reached out to and I'm like, hey, I think I'm interested in I like went or use that line again that what are some tips? What are some tips to get in? So I didn't go like I'm looking for a job. Guess what? The person just went to look at my profile and that never minded me. And that's fine. It's kind of like it kind of feels like you feel like person just ignored you, but it's fine. I will say that you keep pursuing. So if one person doesn't respond, that doesn't mean the next person would. And I've reached out to people, some people have responded. Some people I mostly try not to like request friendship on LinkedIn immediately. But I honestly feel that if you are going to ask a question, you also have to be careful. Some people are just not going to be that responsive. So it's all a matter of you being fortunate, but you have to play your cards right. You have to take the risk. You have to try to talk to someone. If you can't see someone physically, somewhere, definitely uh, electronically you can do something. Do something. It never hurts. If one person doesn't work, the next person will work. I mean, I've reached out to different recruiters sometimes in some of these companies. Some will respond, and I mentioned to Steve, there was one recruiter who reached out to me and then she kind of ghosted me, and later on when I requested a friendship, like she accepted it, but never talked about that issue again on like that was it. It was like case closed, and I kind of accepted that. I was just hoping that once I requested a friendship, maybe in the future something might come up. So it might feel like you are bothering people or you are being a nuisance, but it's all a matter of like your choice of words and the message you send, because it's like you are getting to someone's space. So you also got to be careful that you don't end up as a nuisance or someone who, they can just blacklist. So you try as much as possible, put your right foot or your best foot forward if it comes out that way. And sometimes too, I've also seen that like, just looking out. So whatever role, whatever company, you'll find a list of so many people. You can just look at their profiles. This is something that you're interested in. Hey, what tips do you think you can give for me to do this? And
So
that
Nate,
was just the, yeah.
would you be willing to share some of the, I'm sure that you didn't have to rewrite every time. You probably had something you just popped in there. You came up with something that worked and sent off. Would you be willing to share that with us? Whatever you were setting out to people to connect with them in the future, will you send that I can send out to the group?
Yes, I'm definitely. It's basically very simple. I can look for one of them in there and I can send it to you. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it's just very basic, but like I said, you don't go straight away. Hey, I want a job. They're not going to mind you. You see, so just asking about the tips. You're interested in this company, but what are some tips to get in? That's all. That's all. You don't go like, hey, I need you to refer me, or if I get stuff. So you just try and then keep it simple, and then it should be it. And then you keeping on. I mean, use the same strategy of still applying because that's also necessary. Like I said, everyone's story might be different, you know. My story is this way. Someone too might also maybe go to a physical networking event, you know, or just apply to a job or being found on LinkedIn by a recruiter. Because I always get that from recruiters. Sometimes some of the roles I think I like, some too, you know. So it's all a matter of you've shortlisted what you are looking for, your next role. It could be something similar, it could be something different. And I mean, if it's something that you maybe like, let's say you're interested in the future, for instance, you know, it's also a good thing, you know, that like you're looking at the long term. But definitely you have to start from somewhere. You have to start from somewhere. So it's a big ocean, you know, the job market is there are jobs there, but sometimes just getting that opportunity is always the most crucial or the crucial part of the job search process. So, yeah,
Okay. Well,
I
it's
don't know.
tradition. I'm going to have people ask you questions. And since I've
Okay.
got somebody else has the same background, you guys must be in the Bay Area. I'm going to throw Chris
Aha.
on here. So
Okay.
randomly, people are just going to be selected.
Okay.
They have a question or just want to wish you well or both.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, he's an
Hi, Chris.
HR person. This is probably crazy. He's probably thinking, this is crazy. That's risky. HR people probably go, that's really risky.
It is risky, but sometimes you know what? You do what you got to do. You do what
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
might just have to copy you.
Yeah.
Um, so first of all, congratulations, Nee. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Being in this now for a couple months, I know it's super awesome when folks get the opportunity to get back to work. So congratulations. I do
Thank
have
you.
a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
You said you passed the project management test in November.
Hmm. Hmm.
How long did it take you to prepare for that? And um, like how yeah, how difficult was the test?
It was a company sponsored class from I think from August to I think end of September or beginning of October. So you got to do, is it 35 or 36 hours? I always forget it. It's one of the two. Once you complete that in class, you apply based on um, the projects you've done, and then they're going to say yay or nay. They can reject your application. You know, unfortunately, I didn't have to go through that. I mean, once I applied, and what I did too with the instructor. So before that, so there are different, ways to kind of prepare for the in class. Some people watch videos on YouTube or maybe Udemy. Some people to go in class. I did it in class. But when I finished, then I reached out to the instructor. I'm like, hey, I need to apply for the do the application. So you have to do the application before you can take the test. So when I got my notes ready, I reached out to him and he helped me structure it in such a way that it will align with the project management principles. And that was a very good way to, jump that hurdle. So when I applied, they just responded within, I think, can't remember how many business days. And then they were like, you're ready to schedule your exam. So once I scheduled the exam, I think it took me, but when I started the class in August, I was still like reading notes, preparing for the exam. And then eventually, I think I registered for the exam in after I got the approval with the application. And I think it took me like intensive, um, probably about 2 months. And I mean, the exam is, I don't want to use the word difficult, but you've really got to prepare. It's broken down into three parts. I've forgotten what and what exactly, but like the business side, and then like the kind of technical, and then I've forgotten the last one. So you need to really understand the concept. I mean, there were no calculations per se, but they're just trying to see if you really understand what exactly you want to be, in getting a certification. So I mean, once I completed the exam, I think it was like a 4 hour exam with like 10-minute breaks. Yes, 2 10-minute breaks. And I don't want to use the word, I don't want to scare you, Chris, yeah, but you got to really prepare, because some people go maybe a first time, they don't pass. So you still have like two opportunities in a year, like within a calendar year. Then then you have to apply again. So first application, first time attempt. Because what I did was, aside reading materials, like I went on YouTube. There are a lot of resources on there, and there are some instructors who have like channels on YouTube. They'll go like they'll take you through some questions, and it really helped. And I didn't just we used a particular uh, reading material for the class, but then I also took a colleague had previously taken the exam like a few months, about a year before. So I used her book in addition to the one that was used in a class, and I kind of went like thoroughly, thoroughly. And then what I also did was I bought so like a question bank from the Project Management Institute. So they have I can't remember how many questions, but a lot of them. So you go through um I think they were structured I can honestly say that I probably went through more than 700 questions just with the Project Management Institute. And I did a lot of revision, going through over and over again, just to see if I was really ready for the exam, you know. And I mean, went in there, gave it my best shot. And I finished. They said, okay, you're done with the exam. Okay, you get your results, blah, blah. I can't remember. They said like a couple of days or something. And then I went to like the front desk of the Pearson Center. I went to take it. I didn't take it. You can choose to take it like in the comfort of your home. But that one, that it involves a lot of like they're going to check so many things like camera checking to see there's no one around you to help you, etc. I just didn't want to deal with that. I thought that going to a facility physically, taking it there would be better for me. And it turned out as a better option. So I mean, once I was done, I went to the desk. I wasn't so sure. Someone asked me over there, did you pass? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I never got my mind. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I can't be sure. But I felt that I had done enough. I felt that I'd, you know, done enough prep before the exam. So I thought that and they had kind of different levels for you to pass, you need to get, I think, target and then above, like cumulatively for the three sections, and before you can pass. So I went to the front desk and they're like, okay, to show that I'm done writing the exam. The minute I picked the sheet up, I picked it up from a lady. I saw congratulations on the first word. And you can imagine how excited I was. And guess what? When you go to any test center, obviously you store your bag and stuff like that. I think in excitement, I think I left the place and then I came back, realized that I've left some stuff in a locker. I was so excited, I have to be honest. So I thought that like I'll say that like generally preparing, if you prepare well, it shouldn't be that crazy. But then you have to really understand what you're also reading. If you've prepared enough or very well, it shouldn't be, I don't use the word difficult to scare anyone, but it's a very useful certification. And I think it also played a part, Chris, to me getting
Got
this
your job.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
awesome.
realized that, I realized that some of the job requirements or responsibilities included an aspect of projects. And I kind of dealt with projects like previously, but to get the certification, which I wanted to take, I think back in 2009, but I kept on just pushing it. And I think that certification thing, because I know we've talked about it a couple of times with job team, whilst you're waiting, and you do something, in the meantime, because whilst I mean, job searching, or job hunting, I considered some other, um, certification. That do I think, what do I want to do? That's the first thing. What do you want to do? So what's your next role? You know, do you have to, because I remember David talking about AI stuff, I mean, something like that. Obviously, someone will say, hey, do you have like, I think there's a certification. David, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's the Azure, is it the not fundamentals, Azure fundamentals, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. So something like that. I mean, if I'm just saying that if someone is looking at in that space, do you have a certification for that? And it always helps. It always helps, and you never know. You can definitely add that to it. If even because I think that there are certain times maybe I know that I have some knowledge about something, right? I throw it out into like my resume. I used to do that. Like, okay, I know a little bit about this, then I put it down just to make my case stronger. So I definitely think that it doesn't hurt at all. But if even you're even in the process, right? Because some years back I used to write on my resume because I'd started looking at that. Like the Google had a certification for a project management, but it's not the PMP, but it's kind of to help you if you want to go into that. So I put on my resume that Google project management candidate, and I'll say that like a few times, even though I was working, I got a few, here and there, like maybe a recruiter will go like, hey, I think I like your profile, I'm thinking that you'd be a good candidate for this or that. But I wasn't job hunting them when I was working, but it wasn't part of my thing. So yeah, it's very useful. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Congratulations.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
Chris and everybody else, I put in the chat two things. The PMP that he got, the same institute, the Department of Workforce Services here in the state of Utah has $4,000 set aside for you for free training. And and so you can do that. One of the clients went to a boot camp and then sat for the test. So that was another way to do it. So if you want to do it fast and you don't want to pay for it out of your pocket or your company, you don't have a company doing that. So um let's go to another HR person. Let's go to Remy. I gotta do good on these spotlights. Hold on.
Good morning, Nee.
Morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to highlight the same thing that you had said about getting a PMP. I have one.
Okay,
It
good.
was very difficult to get.
Mhm,
Like you said, you don't want to use the word difficult, but it was tough. There was a
mhm,
lot of studying, and
mhm,
I actually didn't get it the first time. You had
mhm,
mentioned that a lot of people don't get it.
mhm,
It took me I took it, had a boot camp
mhm,
years prior.
mhm,
Took it almost, it was like 2 or 3 months after
mhm,
that. I studied extremely hard,
mhm, mhm,
but the course was a lot more difficult back then,
mhm,
both the PMP
mhm,
camp and the course itself, and the test was extremely difficult.
mhm,
They had a lot more stringent requirements. It's
mhm.
changed. So
Okay.
when I took it the second time, which was a couple of years later, because I was kind of deflated after that,
Mhm,
um, I took it a couple of years later,
mhm,
took the boot camp. Was like, okay, well, this seems a lot more simple. But when I had
mhm,
done, when I had applied for it,
Mm.
I didn't have to put in as much as I
That's
did
much.
the
Yeah.
previous time because
Mhm.
they had made it easier. So, and when I took the test, I passed.
Yeah.
And
Good job. Yeah.
like you did, you
Mhm.
know, I took it in a center. They had they gave me instant results. So I
Right.
knew right as soon as I
Mhm.
got there and took the test, they were like, "You passed." So
Mhm.
I felt
Mhm.
really good about that
Yeah.
and moved on from that. But yeah,
Yeah.
congrats on that.
Thank
Congrats
you.
on the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Power to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, I will say that a PMP is not like job specific. So what Rennie was just saying, he's from a HR background because no matter what role you are in, right? Um, you end up working with like so many different skill set of people, right? And you'll never know. You never know. You just having that, it's a very broad field, because I know people. Rennie is in HR. I know someone who, I mean, I have an engineering background. I know someone who doesn't have an engineering background but has a certification. So it's like it's an added distant benefit. It's an added benefit, and it's they're in high demand. They're in high demand. So it's like put your best foot forward. Getting it doesn't spoil anything, right? The only thing you have to do is they have something called PDUs, professional development units. So every 3 years, it's like your certification will be running out. You need to start doing this. But it's not like anything crazy or anyone will go like, hey, you need to come and rewrite the exam because writing the exam is not going to be fun, like Rennie said. I mean, it takes a lot. It can drain you. So getting it is an added benefit to no matter what job you're looking for. If it's in business, because I will say that no matter what, you're going to end up working with other people. But if you have a fair idea of what exactly, maybe there's some IT project, for instance, right? You get involved one way or the other. You understand what exactly is going on, if you are not directly involved with the project. So it's a very added benefit. And I mean, depending on, your career goals, I would just advise that give it a shot. You never know. You never know. It's really helped me because, I mean, once I got it, unfortunately, 2 months later, the restructuring laid-off process happened. But then I feel that it just played a part. That I probably would still be job hunting by now, if that was not an added, benefit for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Congrats.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Rennie. Next up is Justin.
Mhm. Congratulations, Nee.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
I may have missed it. How long were you out of work?
So February and then I'll say roughly about 2 months.
Okay.
2 months. Yeah.
It's
2 months.
about when I got let go
Yeah.
too. Cool. And it's Microsoft at their data center. What do you know which location?
Yeah, I'm going to Quincy. It's in Washington. Yeah.
Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Washington State. So I'm leaving this
Is it
about
like
2
their
years ago.
Redmond? I mean, that's where they're based,
No,
right? Redmond?
yeah, the Redmond is like in the Seattle area. That'll be away from there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a distance from there.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. Do you know what type of work you'll be doing at the data center?
It's I'll be a program manager, but it's
Okay.
more of the reliability project management space. Yeah, that's what this they call it the critical environment program manager. That's the role, the
Nice.
title. So uh,
Sure, it's a lot of
I'll be working.
Copilot slash Azure slash what, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I'll be working a lot of engineering, working with engineers, working with technicians, working with like then generally data center management. That's what it's all about.
Cool. And your accent, it reminds me of someone I used to know. You perhaps Nigerian?
Well,
No? Oh,
two
dang.
two doors away, Ghana
Ghana.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, close. Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah. Thanks, thanks. Yeah. So I mean, it's like I said, you just keep on keeping on. Just have like a blueprint of what exactly you want to do, and the timing to get a job is always like the biggest question, but you don't give up. You don't give up. You don't give up at all, because being laid off or losing a job definitely affects you in so many ways. Because it took,
Yep.
I have to personally say that it took me a couple of days. I was trying to just understand the whole process, but eventually I'm like, hey, just get back into this and looking for a job. Just get back into, you have to get a job. You have to get a job. So, I mean, I did so many applications, but ultimately, not all of them will respond to you. But just have a fair idea of the number of companies, the type of roles, and then what exactly you're looking at. But somebody might like to say, I live here, I don't want to relocate. So you have to think of all those things. Like, once you see a job location here, apply to some jobs here, maybe Salt Lake or within the environs, but I didn't really get any response. And that's how it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
A no or a denial doesn't mean that, hey, you just sit down, oh, I didn't get this opportunity. It can be painful, maybe, especially if you want some particular role to work with some particular company, and you don't get a response. And if it comes to it that, like, hey, you have to move, you found a job that maybe you might have to move. I mean, you have to weigh all your options, but sometimes it might be the best option too, that you finally have to relocate. And it all depends on, you know, how the family is going to be affected and all that. So many things.
Yeah,
So many things, yeah. But
absolutely. Yeah, how's your family taking it? Do you have a
yeah, I have toddlers and then two toddlers and then my wife, so I have to relocate with them. So
yeah,
fortunately, the kids are not really. My girl is almost going to preschool, so it's just about the right time. So
yeah, sure
it
it's a
might be
big
different for everyone here, but you look at so many things, and so
I'm sure it's a big change.
yeah, it is.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
And that's all I got.
Okay,
Good
thank
job.
you. Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Next up is Gene, and he is a PMP.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah, I congratulations on getting your
Thank
new
you.
role.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I have a really lot to say, but I was going to mention the PMP part partly because I've been one for a long time now. So,
Oh, okay,
uh,
okay.
so yeah. So were you specifically targeting? I think you said your new role a program manager? Is that right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
did you specifically have like project management experience before, and so you wanted to get the PMP and
Yeah,
to help?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'll say that if I've not even directly worked like on projects, even if I've always been like close to or working with project managers, because my previous role before this one, I mean, my role was I was kind of liaising between or with project managers, direct project managers, and design engineers. And then this role, for instance, I last came out of to, I mean, I was heavily involved with different projects, different energy projects. So I just realized that like it was about time. So when the opportunity came, I'm like, look, go grab it as quickly as you can, because if I had even skipped or decided, oh, maybe I'm not ready for it, I've skipped a class, that would mean that I have to wait for the next class. And guess what? The next class wouldn't have happened because I would have lost the opportunity. See, I would have lost the opportunity. So it's like you look at the options, what Steve mentioned. I mean, if there's free money, because as much as possible, if you can get it for free, you could just do that. Just do that because it's really beneficial. Most companies will just pay for you to, or they'll reimburse you out of pocket. I mean, they literally footed for the class. I mean, I bought the materials myself, but then the exam, for instance, I registered for it. They reimbursed me. See, so I would say that I ended up like benefiting big time. So it's very helpful if you take advantage of all opportunities. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So,
Yep. And I agree that PMP's been helpful, and
mhm,
just kind of like you said, we're explaining it's every 3 years. You need to, I think
mhm.
it's get the it
Yeah.
sounds like a lot, but it's not really too bad. The 60
No,
professional development units,
but
but it does kind of crop up on you if you haven't
yeah, if you
done
take
any
too
for
much.
like a year or two. So that's kind of
Mhm.
where I am right now. But anyway, so
Yeah.
but again,
I
congratulations.
thank
Oh,
you.
go ahead.
No,
You were
no,
saying?
I was about to say that, yeah. And what I realized was, I'm like, 3 years, it looks like a long time. So, I think that it's so long, but then by the time you realize, then it comes so quickly because I'm almost a year having it. So I'm like, I need to start,
Yeah,
getting the PDs.
I think
It's
they start sending you a reminder about every year just to say, okay, a year's gone by, and
work
just a just a reminder, you have to have those things done,
done.
get renewed. But
Well,
anyway,
yeah, yep. Yep.
okay, well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
about all I
Thank
had.
you, Jen. Nice to meet
Sure.
you. I've never met you before, but nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You too.
All right. Next up is David. Oh, we can't hear you.
Right now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, really awesome. Congratulations on the
Thank you.
job. That's really exciting. I'm interested in how, if you look back on the couple of months you've been without work, how have you been managing the the ups and downs, and how do you kind of keep the level mindset to be able to get through?
Ups and downs. Yeah, it's been. I mean, fortunately, I was able to get some severance package, so that kind of
Hmm.
helped me a little bit. It's not always the case with everyone, but most of the times they'll try and give you something. Especially they know that it's for a certain period. They expect that or they hope that by a certain time you'll be able to um, get something. But it's not always like that. But it's just a matter of once you know that you've kind of set goals for yourself that maybe in a month, because I was like, maybe in 2 weeks, I'm going to try my best to get a job in 2 weeks. That never happened. But I'm like, I'm not giving up. I need to start working. There were certain times, certain days, certain weeks. Maybe I might not do so many applications. And I started keeping like a journal or on Excel a spreadsheet. So whenever I do the application, just to prevent myself from getting into that situation where maybe you have maybe a recruiter reach out to you, maybe via email or a phone call, and maybe they mention a job and maybe you can't remember how the job description is. So, I mean, I was doing that, but I wasn't getting the responses, but I wasn't giving up too. So like it's been like this, like just like you see here. Certain times, some of them, some recruiter will just reach out to you. Oh, I found your profile. I think it's the nicest, and the minute you respond, they just ghost you. I've had that happen to me. And then there was one recruiter who reached out to me. What happened was I think she went to look at my profile and then I went back to look at her profile. So I forgot to mention that's also something. Sometimes if you have because obviously you have the open to work, maybe it's either like to a broader audience or just to recruiters. If someone goes to look at your profile, right? There are a lot of times mine was like the hidden one, but I just didn't want everything out there. There are a lot of the times the chances of them being a recruiter are very high. So what I also did was when I get a recruiter, like go and look at my profile. Sometimes I just send them a message and introduce myself. So this recruiter, for instance, don't know if she was even hiring for or looking for certain roles, and she gave me some tips on like, hey, I think you need to do this, you need to do this, and I think it might help. She also gave me some tips. So if you see someone look at your profile, go look at the person's profile, especially if you find out that they're a recruiter. It doesn't hurt. You just don't go spooking them. But like I said, sometimes the responses are this. And so it was like sometimes I go like this, what do I do? And then I gain momentum and like, let me go back, looking or reaching out to people. So it's a mixture of so many things. Try to keep afloat, keep your head afloat, you know. because it can be laying off or losing a job is it's nothing, it's nothing anyone wants to deal with because you have um goals, like maybe you have a role, maybe you think that like this company, I want to be here by this time, and then just like that, they lay you off. So that shock, the shock alone can be devastating, but no matter what, you know that you have you obviously have a family to take care of, you have a life to live. You not let this setback draw you back. But it's like the earlier, the more applications, and sometimes too, I also read a lot of this on I've read it a lot of times on LinkedIn. Sometimes people go like, especially if you're interested in a certain company, right? Sometimes maybe commenting on maybe someone has posted something, you can draw someone's attention. Because I saw a lady's post on LinkedIn again, and I think what she did was, I think she was just posting stuff, related to the company. I think she wanted to work with Google. Guess what? They reached out to her. I think she didn't have to do too much to get enrolled. It's like she was already marketing herself, doing that, and marketing the company too at the same time, and she got the role. You see, so it can be very, very difficult. But like I said, if there are any rejections, right, don't take it to heart that, oh, I lost this opportunity, no one is going to respond to me, or why did this happen? Just kind of brush it off. Brush it off, and then you can come back. You can come back to that same company, especially if you see something or want to connect with someone. Someone will definitely respond. It can be an HR person, it can be a recruiter, it can be someone who works in there. If it's an engineer or a marketer, you never know. Whatever you are looking out for or looking for, your next role, whatever role you want, right? It's just making that move. Yeah, it's not always guaranteed to be, but you also don't over invade someone's special uh, personal space. See, just making that sense. So, I mean, when you mention that you're looking for AI rules and stuff like that, like, yeah, you mean just looking out for people working in different places, and not like the specific companies. It could be a small company, it could be a big company, but it's just you doing what you have to do. It's just you doing what you have to do, because once you set a goal for yourself, definitely one way or the other, you know, someone will respond or something will come up. Say that, yeah. So let's keep on keeping on. Yeah, yeah. Let's keep on keeping. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Jason. We're almost done. We're almost done.
Well, congratulations, Nee.
Thank you.
Um, I, how did you decide who you were going to reach out to since you were cold calling out there in LinkedIn?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. So it's the how I go out or went about it. I mean, I've done previous. It's like I always look out for like, what am I interested in? That's what I've always done. Which company will be able to give me that opportunity? You see.
But
So
uh, but the people that you reach out to, were they associated with that company?
sometimes,
Oh, okay.
a lot of the times, yeah,
Yeah.
because what I go is like, I just go. So, I mean, LinkedIn has a feature. Once you, maybe, let's say you type a company or maybe a role, then you can, narrow down to maybe a list of companies, and then you kind of play or toggle around with it a little bit. And it will pull people up. So maybe, because this connection, for instance, I mean, I realized that he was, I think, a product manager or something, or program manager. I can't remember what was the first role he had. And I realized that when I realized that we had mutual connections, I'm like, there's no harm. There's no harm in trying, there's no harm in trying. And, it's a numbers game, right? It's like, try your luck, let me put it that way. But then as I previously or mentioned, have a list of what roles you're looking at. Because I was looking at engineering roles too. I was looking at project management roles. I was looking at even though I won't say on paper that like I was a program manager. Previous roles I've managed like programs in quote, right? So when he eventually sent this, I read the job description. I'm like, yeah, let me just give this a shot. So cold calling, it can be, you don't know where to start from, but as I mentioned, job roles, the companies, and then also bear in mind that like the locations too can also be a factor.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, I before I moved to Utah, I used to think a lot about or wanted roles in Texas. So sometimes I used to look at Texas roles a lot, but I never got in. You see, and then I kept on going back. So this previous role that I left, I'd previously reached out for very different roles, something in supply chain, and I got an opportunity to interview, but I didn't get a role. But then one day I was just looking for roles again, and I just chanced on a job listing with the same company, and then it was like it's in Utah. So the first one that I interviewed was in Chicago, and that's why I was living in the Chicago area then. And this one was in Utah. Like I was like, I like this thing, I don't mind moving. And I just gave it a shot, and then when I applied for it, then I started looking for recruiters in a company. And unfortunately, I found one, and he responded, and he was like, I think you'll be a good fit. So
What
it's
what company was that, or can you say?
Rio Tinto, Rio Tinto.
Rio Tinto.
Yeah, Rio Tinto, yeah. So that's where I just came out from. So it's all a matter of numbers game. You just give it a shot. Somebody might say that it might not work for everyone, but I think it's always a good place to start. A good place to start. You never know who might want to help you. Some people might help you even though they don't know you. See,
Right.
even though they don't know you yet, because they think that you're an asset. And everyone on here has a ton of experience in their various fields. So you going out there, you're obviously you need a job, right? You need a job. So you starting from that distance, trying to get in, you just don't go straight away, because some people would think it's kind of creepy to ask them for a role or you want a
Right.
referral straight away. So you kind of try and build a rapport, and it's at least personally I'll say that it's really helped because I took my connections advice, even though it took a long time before for me to get a PMP. It took like 3, 4 years because I was like, I'll do it, 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 I'll do it. So when I went into a head of the class, the company office, and I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to jump on this. And
Right.
my former boss was very supportive too, because sometimes I had to leave work at a certain time to go for the in-class session. And it paid off. It paid off. I'll personally say that it's the PMP has helped me a lot. And this getting this. And I've gotten like, uh, recruiters reaching out, because of some of these. So just adding, it's like you're adding value to yourself, irrespective of, no matter what situation, you're definitely looking for a role. But if I do this certification, it can be any certification at all, right? But you know that it's going to benefit you. Or if you reach out to someone who works somewhere like that, what are some tips? What are some tips? What are some tips? That
And
was a
and
very
and
question I had.
is that kind of how you broke the ice with these cold
Yes,
calls, asking them what's
yes.
a good tip?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, but then sometimes to some of them, like I'll say that I have to confess that there are some of them, like some of the recruiters, I went straight away to introduce myself. I'm like, oh, I'm interested in certain roles in this, but don't go like you need to give me a referral, or you need to
Right.
help me find a job. I just go like I kind of introduce myself, and I'll say that like maybe this is what I'm thinking of. This company I think is a good company. You kind of introduce yourself, you see. So it's like a 30-second pitch in quote, right? Just put something nice in an email, and I'll share a couple of them with Steve so that he can just let you know. And
Okay.
It's very simple. You keep it simple, but you don't go like um you don't, how do I put it, like you don't be like a pest or a parasite, excuse my language.
Right.
Some people, trust me, will just ignore you because they'll just ignore you, you know. So you have to try as much as possible to just put your best foot forward, knowing that at least someone would be very responsive.
Right.
So not to just HR people, someone who works there, you're interested in, someone has like some engineering role or something, you know. And as I mentioned, there was one person I reached out to. I didn't even say I wanted a job or something. I'm like tips. The guy just went to look at my profile and they just ignored me.
Right.
Just ignored me. But I didn't let that get to me. I didn't let that get to me because you have a list, as I mentioned, you have a list of companies you are interested in, be it in Utah here or if you have to relocate, right? Nothing, it all depends on, you always consider your family first too. So if the job is out of state, for instance, and is it possible for me to relocate? You look at all these things. But the cold calling really helps. But you have to be also very a little bit cautious that your choice of words don't end up in the wrong space. In the wrong space. Yeah. Because I can say that I got to a certain time, I'll just reach out. Sometimes I'll just go like I'll reach out to maybe a list of recruiters. I find them on LinkedIn. You know, I introduce myself, and there's some of them. There are sometimes I even went to the extent of saying like, oh, maybe apply to this role, and sometimes I'll just say, and I've done it before. I've done it before. There was one recruiter, actually with Microsoft. He actually even found the recruiter for certain roles for me. I didn't know him.
Huh. Yeah.
I didn't know him. I didn't know you. I'm like, I'm just going to do this, you know. And some responded, but he in particular went in. I took that extra effort to find the recruiter for me, you know. And there's certain times I got responses, certain times, but it's a different case by case. But you have to make that effort or
Right.
put that best foot forward, you know. And definitely, I feel that it's a very effective tool. But your choice of words, I'll say it again, your choice of words in your email. And you try and keep it simple. Maybe don't even attach a resume, you know. But with some of the recruiters, what I did was, I'm like, if you want my resume, I'll give it to you on request. You
Right.
know, so you can see how I put it. I didn't attach it. I don't want to give them that extra burden of looking at the resume, you know, because obviously recruiters don't have that time. But just that quick message, that intro, you know, it's helped me in the past. I've reached out to a recruiter, and my last role, that's how I reached out to a recruiter, and he was like, hey, send me your resume, let me take a look. And he was like, hey, I feel you'd be a good fit. And that was it. You know, he kind of pushed me through the process, you know. So see a recruiter to just introduce yourself. I'm interested in this, but you don't kind of force the words that like that's all you're looking at, just the choice of words. Because sometimes I just massage the words in a certain way that hoping that they'll respond. Some have been nice, some too. So but no complaints here. It's a big ocean here, you know, so we have to
Well,
tap into it. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I see the
Jay,
ocean behind you.
Jason, I know you're convinced that I actually always have this all set up to say networking.
Well, I'm sure you
No,
do.
there's no way that I could have this conversation. Here's a guy that a minute ago, Justin goes like, I think I know where you're from, and he's from Ghana.
Got it.
He's networking with strangers in the US and other parts. I mean, you know, this is amazing. This is amazing that he did this. So,
Good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
congratulations and good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, if anyone needs any help and maybe some strategy, for instance, I mean, like I said, it's not anything crazy, but just you making that first move, you know, you never know. Because I never read it anywhere. I knew about cold calling and stuff, but I'm like, I have to also do things in a certain way or my way, you know. And I won't say it's been 100% efficient, but it's been useful to me. It's been very useful to me. So
Okay, last up is Dexter.
Hi, Dexter.
And he's getting 2 masters at
Oh,
currently.
wow. Oh, nice.
You.
Congrats. Yeah,
Hey, congratulations on getting the new position.
thank you.
It's really amazing. I've been job searching probably for about 6 months now, but
Mhm,
I'm not too focused on getting a job mainly because I'm
mhm,
in school. But I think that's going to change pretty soon.
mhm,
I did uh, take the PMP
mhm.
training program
Mhm.
from the local college.
Okay.
And it is pretty difficult to go through it, but I would definitely say you need to be very understanding of the whole entire uh,
Mhm.
packet before even taking a test.
Right.
But I've never taken the PMP certification
Mhm,
exam itself, so
mhm,
I just wanted to make note of that. But I don't have any questions, but I do wish you good luck and
thank
thank you
you.
for sharing your
Yeah.
story with everyone.
Yeah. And if you need any tips on, I mean, with the exam, for instance, I mean, I didn't really go about with any crazy strategy, but I mean, materials, and then they have they call it study hall. It's like a question bank. So many questions. I can The way they set it up, PMI set it up is said that I think I used the plus package. They have I probably went through not less than 700 questions. And what I ended up doing too was I kept on reviewing. If I get the question wrong, I can always see why I got it wrong. The explanation is also below. So I would really recommend the plus because people who had previously taken it with my former company, I spoke to so many people and they all said that like the plus package is the best. And I did just that. And I also did um extra I took extra efforts to reach out to. I'm trying to remember his name, but I mean, you can reach out if you need any information. I think I'll find this. I think he's British. David something. I can't remember on top of my head. And his videos were very useful to me. Very useful. So if you need any help with that or whenever you're ready, just ping me. Steve put my LinkedIn um, link in the chat, so you can ping me if you want this. And
Sure.
it's very useful here to use different resources. Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay. Nee, thank you for coming. And thanks
You're
for
welcome, Steve.
an unexpected story
Yeah,
that, I've been working with you, but I don't think I knew all this. So thank you for
yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Um,
You're
any
welcome.
last parting words for the group, Nee?
Um, yeah, definitely keep your head up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Your job is a week away, a day away. You know, don't think about like, hey, is it going to take me X number of months? Sometimes it feels like that because maybe the rejections keep on coming in, but once a rejection comes in, just forget about it. What I even do for myself personally is when I see a rejection, I quickly delete it. I don't, I delete it from my inbox. I delete it because I'm like, I'm not going to let this, kind of draw me back. So I go about and I just delete it, and I'm like, I move on to the next listen option. And sometimes the minute I see the email, I open it, I read the first line, thank you, then I know that I don't have to waste my time reading the rest. And I quickly delete it. And most of the time it's been a rejection. But a rejection shouldn't be like set you back at all. Just keep on keeping on. Apply to as many roles as you want, and the roles that you want with the companies you want. And if it's a location, if you have to relocate to, obviously, if you're applying to, you look at all those things. But then know that it's just going to come as soon as possible. It's all a matter of you being resilient, not giving up. Because I keep on saying that you losing a job doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. Your next job is going to come as soon as possible. Just keep on keeping on. You know what exactly you want to do. You know what you're capable of. You know your skill set. You know your experience. You know if you have certifications like the PMP, for instance, you know what kind of training or knowledge you have. just use what you have based on like the resume you have from LHH that's been created, what you have on LinkedIn, you set it up right, spend time. So not just LinkedIn. I mean, there's Indeed too, but I realized that I used to tell Steve that I realized that a lot of the times I see the same roles like on Indeed and maybe on LinkedIn. So it's just a matter of you looking at what you want to look at. If you realize that something isn't something you're not interested in, you kind of don't force yourself or waste your time. But then if you realize that this is the job description, but you can do most of them, like you have the experience or what it takes, the skill set, you have a lot of them. If you probably don't have, sometimes there are certain jobs I've seen like SaaS, SAS, I know it's a computer related stuff, software or something. And sometimes I go like I see like that and I'm like, this shouldn't draw me back. If you have most of them, and you are willing to learn on a job or get that knowledge on a job, who wouldn't want to hire you? Who wouldn't want to hire you? You just need to have that mindset and just keep on keeping on. So it's a big ocean, but it also can be a small place, a very small world at the same time. Because you don't know who knows who, or who can lead you to the next show. And I've read so many times on LinkedIn what networking has been able to do, what networking has been able to do. So it's a very useful tool. I would encourage everyone to make this. And I mean, the way you go about, like the way I did it, if you want to do it that way, that's a very good. You can even go further. I mean, go further. But like I said, the cold calls don't have to be like you're invading people's personal space. If they listen to you or they respond, that's fine. They don't, because there are certain times, sometimes I look at certain recruiters, I'll reach out to 6 recruiters or more, hoping that one person would respond to me. So if that one person, it could be just that one person, just that one person, just getting back to you, and that's all you need. That's all you need. So it's not. Don't fear. Think that it's you're bothering someone. You know what you want. You have to be persistent, but you also know that the level of how you kind of ask for what you're looking for to is in a certain way. Yeah. But I realize that there are still some people who have a listening ear. They know that because once they know that you've reached out and you've started putting the words in a certain way, some people can decipher that you're just thinking about your next show. It's just one person you need, just one person. But in that one person, it probably have to go through maybe 100 people before you get a couple of just keep on keeping on. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Well, everybody, let's give Nee a huge, let me put it on here so we can see everybody. Let's give him a huge round of applause and a thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
too.
And we will end this recording.
Thank
This
you.
is
Yes.
Nee or
Thank you.
Odartey Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.